And so yeah, we got together, but as I was practicing with him, um, we had a good time or whatever, sparred a little, and then day was over, and he started telling me about this uh martial arts that he wanted me to join, and he started mentioning stuff about, but this is real hardcore stuff. This isn't, he started saying this is real hardcore stuff. This isn't for everybody. This ain't for beta males. He started saying stuff like that. Uh, and, I kind of ignored it because I don't really subscribe to stuff like that. But, if that makes you feel good, about yourself thinking you're a beta male or whatever, I'm cool with that too. I'm not going to go out of my way to to argue about something that I think is dumb. Because if you really think it's dumb, then you don't even want to argue about it. You just let it go. Which is what I was doing, but he just said it a little bit too much. And he was talking about this martial arts isn't for SJWs, which means social justice warriors, stuff like that. And I never understood that. I never understood how social justice warriors now all of a sudden frowned upon and looked at as being bad or being betas or less manly or something. Which would seem like what he was saying to me. Um, but and I was like, yeah, sure, whatever, man. And I don't know what politics has to do with martial arts, but for him, it was if you were an SJW, if you were Black Lives Matter, you weren't man enough to practice that martial art. I guess that's what he was trying to say. Um, which I thought was stupid because your beliefs or anything like that has nothing to do with the way you fight, bro. Like, come on. But there's people out there that actually do believe that believe that if you're a Democrat or a liberal, that means you're probably feminine or gay or something like that, um, which is very stupid. Very I don't know, not founded on anything logic at all. Um, but yeah, that's another reason that I want to talk about this. I just want to talk about this whole martial arts is for alphas and stuff like that. I wanted to, yeah, guys kind of talk about it, kind of see what the hell is this, Um, and it seems like there was a lot of people thinking that same thing out there. Um, and to me, it doesn't make any sense. Kind of like this drawing here right now, because this damn legs look too short, so I'm gonna have to fix that real quick. Um, excuse me. Let me see if I can maybe make this a little bit like. Yeah, I think that's better. Anyways, I hope I didn't lose you guys. But this whole notion, right, that martial arts is for manly people or for macho meatheads that um wear tap out shirts and scream, you know, that hit first and ask questions later, stuff like that. Um, and and I was thinking about it. I was like, because I thought it was just jokes, man. I thought because it's the same thing when I heard about Andrew Tate. Um, I thought he was a comedian because the first time I saw him, he was in Tom Segura's podcast, and I remember thinking, man, this guy was pretty funny. Um, but it turns out that the guy, he's for real. He seriously, um, he seriously thinks this way. Should I make this guy an elf? Yeah, I'll make him an elf. He seriously believes the stuff he's saying. But the reason it's funny is because it's so dumb. Kind of like I said, She-Hulk, where most guys in that are portrayed as dummies, meatheads and stuff like that. It's like there's no way guys are like all guys are like this. Of course, then you go online and you see all the stuff these guys are saying, and you're like, God damn, bro. Relax, bro. It's a movie. Or it's a TV show. And that's nothing new. I mean, I grew up in the 90s, and guys were never looked at, like men were never looked at as heroes or anything like that. Think about Home Improvement. What else we got? Married with Children. The Simpsons. The men were never looked at as these people to look up to or anything like that. And it was never a problem, but I feel like men are just tired of it. They're just like, damn, like, cut us a break, which is understandable as well. But find some middle ground, I guess, would always be the best. But I think getting back to my subject, what I was going to talk about, which is this notion that martial arts is for a masculine type man, or a macho man, or stuff like this. And I always thought this to be a strange thought, because I never thought of it that way at all. And here's why. If we go back to the beginning of not just martial arts, but just anything in general, just humans, the way humans think. There's a reason, like, when you go online, there's a lot of people talking crap about each other, but then when you go outside, you don't see that much people fighting each other. Most people aren't racist when you're right in front of them. They're racist online, or they're misogynist online. But for the most part, most people that they're not that way. Why is that? It's because it's the nature of humans. That's how humans are. We want to cause damage, the most damage we can to someone, without necessarily getting damaged ourselves. Don't know if that makes sense to you guys. And then maybe it does make sense if probably you don't believe me. There's no way, humans aren't that bad. But you got to think about it. You got to think about the history of mankind, and how we developed as a species. And studying our ancestors, like monkeys and gorillas and stuff like that. you realize that that's what we are. We're people that we don't want to die, right? And back in the day, conflict would mean that would probably get injured, sometimes even die because of our injuries. You look at primates, that they're like right now, like monkeys and stuff. The same thing. When they get in fights, they bite their uh, they bite their arm to a certain extent. They go somewhere, they crawl somewhere and die because the injuries are hard. Um, um, and and so being an alpha would usually mean that would happen to you. Being a violent person, which is pretty much what an alpha is in the wild, um, would mean that you would end up dying. You know, and so the best way to survive is to play like you were nice. You know, most of the monkeys that survived were people that would groom other females, and not other females but other males. You see monkeys a lot. You know, getting fleas out of each other and stuff like that. But those were the smart ones, the ones that survived, not the ones that were going around picking fights and stuff. Were usually the ones that ended up dying faster because word would get around that you were being a menace, to society, and so what they would do is the other betas would gang up on you and kill you. And if you think about the weapons we invented, like probably the first weapons we invented were probably sticks. And sticks provided a safety net from you in between you and your enemies. Where before would probably, our first line of defense was just wrestling. And just by our physicality, I could tell you that, humans are mainly made for wrestling, primarily rather than striking, because our heads aren't made for striking. Like, for example, a ram. When you look at a ram, they're made for striking, to receive strikes, and able to function under those type of pressure strike situations. But humans aren't built like that. We don't have that ram head. And so, we're not made for that. We're made more like for wrestling. And so maybe that was our first martial arts, was, how to grab somebody and maybe break an arm or something. And you even look at us now, every culture has wrestling in it. Be it Chinese, be it Romans, Greeks, even Mexico had wrestlers too. So that should tell you that, humans are primarily wrestlers. But anyways, that was too dangerous. Every time we would wrestle, somebody would have to die. Fighting for a lady or whatever. Somebody try to get your girl, and then you have to fight them, and then somebody will bite your ear off, and you bleed to death. So you were like, you need something to defend myself with. I get a stick. It's not necessarily alpha male mentality, or what some people would call alpha male mentality. And then we would attach like a sharp stone to the end of it, call it a spear. That, created more distance between you and your enemies, your opponents, which would also wouldn't be called alpha male mentality if you think about it. Then we invented the bow and arrow, which means we really didn't have to engage, and our possibilities of us dying was even less than that. So more and more you look at it, technology, helped us not be there for the problem. Use our brain. So none of that, in my opinion, at least, shows that we are these alpha type males. And if you look, one of the most successful martial arts, it's actually jujitsu, or at least that's what people say. For the sake of argument, you just look at it. What most of these people do when they're about to fight is they lay on the ground and they kind of open their legs and invite you to get on top of them, which is not necessarily the most alpha male thing to do. So yeah, and basically the gist of it, man. Like, but I get it. A lot of people, they need that. They need those labels to make them feel better about themselves. I'm not a dumbass. I'm an alpha male. But I mean, what are you gonna do? It's the popular ideas spread fast. Doesn't necessarily mean it's true, or that there's any logic behind it at all. But anyways, that's my my theory, and that's why the internet is so popular, and that's why, because it taps into that that primal instinct to be able to hurt someone without necessarily risking any consequences for your actions. This is why people become so violent behind the wheel, because we have that power, this big structure around us that's protecting us. And all of a sudden, we feel like calling somebody a bitch in the freeway or in the highway, whatever you call it. So that's what it is, man. And that explains a lot of stuff from humans. Why people do shootings. They all of a sudden they have this gun, and they have this ability to hurt as many people as they can without receiving any consequences. There you go. Same thing. It's there. And for one thing, it did get us out of the food chain. It helped us get out of the food chain so that we won't be eaten by, tigers and lions and wolves and all of these other things that wanted to eat us constantly 24/7 when we were in the food chain. We didn't beat them by becoming alpha males. Like, that's another thing that reminded me of this is, I was arguing that, even though it was in a forum or something, I forgot where it was, that even though the hunter is romanticized by Hollywood and just people in general, the hunter itself ain't really the best thing to be in nature, because the hunter always has to hunt or else it dies because it has to eat. But the prey, prey has to eat. It has food all the time. All it really has to do is watch his back, which is also kind of sucks, right? um, and but most prey lived. You know, and still today, if you go out there and look, most of the time, most prey lives. There's that one guy that gets left behind that gets eaten most of the time. But most of them live. You know. And then this guy, probably one of these tap out Jersey guys. He tells me, "Man, you're stupid. You know, you live in a fantasy world." Stuff that sounds big but necessarily doesn't make any sense. That's what he was saying. He was like, he told me, "Well, humans became the ultimate predator because we hunted our hunters, and we became the hunters." And I was like, "God damn, that sounds awesome." Jesus Christ. It sounds awesome, but it's not necessarily true. Look at that, I messed up again. It's all you guys. It's your fault because I'm talking to you guys. But anyways, I was like, yeah, it sounds awesome, but it's not necessarily true, man. That's the thing about the internet today. Is that everything goes so quick that the people that get the most popularity are people that have those quick one-liners, like the hunter becomes, or the prey becomes the hunter, and thereby he becomes the ultimate predator. Jesus Christ, this sounds cool. And I was like, man, that I told him, I was like, it sounds cool. You should probably direct a movie or something, or be one of those announcers, and say some cliche shit like, one man with a gun by the director of Training Day this summer. Oh shit. But they're probably getting mad right now if they listen to this shit. They're probably gonna, "I'm an alpha male. You're a pussy." But anyways, as I was saying, I told him, that sounds cool and everything, but the truth is that the reason humans survived for so long is because we didn't play that game. We decided to domesticate ourselves with agriculture, and with separating ourselves from the game. That's what we've been doing our whole lives, if you think about it. We can't play that game. We're gonna change the game. That's what we're doing. We can't play that game. Lions are too fast. Eagles could fly. Elephants and bears are too big and strong. What are we gonna do? We're just not gonna play that game. We're just not gonna be there. We're gonna eat all kinds of other food. We're going to farm cows, and we're gonna domesticate ourselves and build these big structures so that you can't get in and harm us. That's what we did, bro. It has nothing to do with some romantic ass shit that we're going out there hunting. I mean, yeah, we did some hunting, but for the most part, what we were really doing is not playing that game, because we weren't strong enough to handle any of it. And if you think about it now, that's our mentality now. We can't play this game, so we're separating ourselves from nature. We're gonna farm, we're gonna eat more things, we're gonna cook our food so we can digest it better, stuff, basic shit that's why That's why we survived. You know, I know it sounds boring. It doesn't sound as cool as we became the hunter. Um, what does it say? Man is the ultimate, the most dangerous. Um, I forgot what it's called. Most dangerous prey or something like that. I don't know, but anyways, that's the 25 minutes. That's about it, man. That's basically my hot take or cold, whatever. Um, it basically says, yeah, basically what I'm trying to say is, martial arts is for the betas. Go betas.